Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to the latest edition of the DC Daily. So reports suggest that DC won't have a presence at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. Meanwhile, down at Kevin Feige Marvel Studios headquarters, they are boasting a huge presence, where Kevin Feige will explain his Phase 4 plans and Phase 5 plans as well, and where it's all going, even though it's pretty obvious it's going the Kang the Conqueror direction. Very exciting if you're a Marvel fan. But if you're a DC fan and you're hearing that DC live action will have no presence or a very small presence or whatever they're talking about for San Diego Comic-Con, then you start scratching your head. So why is this? Why will DC live action not have a presence at this year's San Diego Comic-Con? Well, there's one or two reasons. The positive reason, first of all, could be that we're just getting another DC fandom at the end of this year or around just before October time. It would make sense to have another DC fandom if we're getting one this year around the month of September, because Black Adam, apparently, if you trust WB at this point, Black Adam is being released in October. And then, of course, you've got Shazam! Fury of the Gods released in December. Then you've got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in March. Then supposedly the Flash movie being released in June. Who knows at this point? So if you wanted to promote all these movies and have great fanfare, September would be a great time to have a DC fandom. And with COVID not being as much of a problem now, what you could do, you could get people to actually go to a DC fandom. But for people around the world who don't have access, they can still watch it interactively via the internet. It will be a huge opportunity. But DC, I'm afraid, don't look at potential the way we do. So that makes sense. So if that's the reason for DC live action not having a huge presence at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, I understand it. But we haven't heard any announcements yet for a DC fandom. We are nearly in July. We're literally a day away from July. But as bad as my internet is, by the time this uploads, probably it could be, we already could be in July. So who knows? Anyway, you know where you are and you know where I am when I recorded this, so it really doesn't matter. But they haven't announced any DC fandom. And as I say, we're in July. So you've got a couple of months till September. So it seems unlikely. So what about October, just before the release of Black Adam? Very unlikely. To me, at this moment in time, there doesn't seem to be any plans for a DC fandom. Don't forget, there's new leadership at WB. We've had a merger with Discovery. We are now Warner Brothers Discovery. I believe it's the negative thing and not the positive potential of a DC fandom. I wish we were going down a positive kind of direction. I think they have no idea what the fuck to do with these 5 upcoming movies, if they should remain 5 upcoming movies. So with the situation with the Flash movie and Miller, they're in a precarious position. As I say every day, they keep on sending out mixed signals. The other day, Brian Q. Miller was talking about, the first volume of a Black Adam prequel comic or something they were doing as well. Brian Q. Miller used to write on Smallville. He wrote the Smallville Series 11 comic book. Really good writer. And he's excited and he says the film's great. And the trailer didn't really reveal too much, so we're going to have to take his word for it. Of course, he would say it's a really good, big movie. Personally, as a DC fan, a huge DC fan, I hope he is right. But because there's a problem with these upcoming movies, especially with The Flash, and especially with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom because of Amber Heard, and they really don't know what to do. So it would make sense to me, because of the mess that they're in, that it's a good reason for not having a DC fandom. I don't think it's good enough, and I think the problem is you've got David Zaslav and Discovery planning for the future, trying to, launch a DC Studios and ahead of those studios. So their mindset isn't on the DCEU, because as far as they're concerned, the DCEU is dead. And I've been telling you this for a long time. They just want to get these 5 movies out the fucking way and do whatever they're going to do. And who knows what that is, because we're getting mixed messages all the time. So basically, that's why. If you were wondering why there's reports of DC live action not having a huge presence at this year's San Diego Comic-Con, that is why. It's a sad situation, but it is a mess, everyone, and we can sit here and argue amongst ourselves what's happening, what's not happening. Clearly, very big plans are happening. For example, finally, the Snyder Cut has been released digitally over in America, because all over the world you can see it digitally. I've got it digitally on Prime Video. I bought it, as well as having it on hard copy. But in America, you couldn't do it. So very soon, that's going to be available. If you're a fan of Restore the Snyderverse, buy it. Buy it, buy it, buy it. Because Zaslav and Discovery have decided to do this as a test. Yeah? So if you want to support that regime, the Snyderverse, that's what you need to do for that. I have no idea if the Snyderverse will be restored. I have no idea what these people are doing. But I do know the lifespan of the DCEU is living on borrowed time. But what's not living on borrowed time is the new superverse. The Superman and Lois little universe that's been launched via that TV series. And we discussed this yesterday, but I want to say a bit more about it. DC deciding to make Superman and Lois stand alone from the very beginning was the best decision this company has made in many years. And this is a company that doesn't make many good decisions. I know some stands are very upset. I've noticed 3 or 4 people have unfollowed me on my YouTube. That's up to you. It's your loss. The rest of us will continue to enjoy our Movies, TV Mad and DC Daily experience. And thank you for watching. If you're going to watch the whole of this video, that's important. That helps my platform. So there's certainly something brand new being built. And for the people upset about Superman and Lois being self-contained, I doubt you've ever read a comic book. Have you read the comic books? They don't all click in together. They're standalone Superman comics. There's a version of Superman that spreads out through the entirety of DC. They reboot these comics. They do things like self-contained. So clearly you don't understand the daddy of fucking superheroes, right? From comics, right? The first DC comic book superhero, Detective Comics, doing a self-contained standalone series. For me, it's important. So to be clear, Superman and Lois is part of Arrowverse, but it's part of the Arrowverse multiverse. But it's not part of Earth Prime, the central universe of Arrowverse. Because what they're trying to do, they're trying to expand and create a new series spinning off from the original Arrowverse. As you can see, Arrowverse has had its time. And when something isn't consumed enough, you have to move on. So now we've got the Superverse, and I don't know where this is going to go. This could even go cinematically with future spin-offs. It could be amazing. We've got a new version of Diggle as well, which is brilliant. I think Superman and Lois is an amazing series, and it's launching off of something special. But it will all, we'll always remember the Arrowverse for being the OG. But this is a verse that has Superman. That Superman is its forefather. One of the frustrations about Arrowverse for me, even in the early days of Arrow, why isn't Superman the lead character of their Justice League in this series? Finally, my man, my first hero that I ever looked up to is actually, in charge of a whole universe, right? No other franchise in DC live action is doing that. So are they going to use this as a spin-off on HBO Max or cinematically? I think this could be their new central universe. I did a video the other day saying that Zaslav and Discovery should think about Greg Berlanti heading a DC Studios. Well, if this is actually a thing, what they could do with Superman and Lois, something that Greg Berlanti was involved in developing as well with Todd Helbing, the showrunner, if he does become, DC Studios president, not only could they have, a presence on HBO Max with different shows and maybe even the Superman and Lois show, but this Superman in this brand new universe could feature as the brand new central DC cinematic universe as well. Maybe this is what they're planning. And shall I say something else? I think this would be the best idea because it already exists. You can use people like David Ramsey as a version of Diggle. You can expand the multiverse. You can use Grant Gustin. You can have Grant Gustin have his own Flash movie, nothing to do with the clusterfuck Flash movie that may or may not be released, right? This is an opportunity. Superman and Lois could change the fucking game. A cinematic universe, an HBO Max TV universe. Personally, do it. Get Berlanti as DC Studios president and have the new superverse from Superman and Lois front and center on HBO Max and theatrically. This has been the DC Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again for the next edition of the DC Daily here on Movies TV Mad. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.